Jesus.
Guys, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having us.
Let's talk about how Rudimental collaborated with Jason. How did you guys find him? What made you want to work with him?
He originally was on X Factor, and we noticed him. That was about 4 years ago now, maybe longer. And we always thought his voice was amazing, but the stars didn't quite align for us to kind of work with him. And then we had this song, "Sun Comes Up." We wrote the song, and we were trying to find a vocalist for the song. And his name came to our heads, and we were like, yeah, you know what? We've always wanted to do a track with him. So we got him in the studio, and he just blew us away, you know, like it really brought this emotional side to the song, which we kind of, you know, that gut feeling you just get when you hear it in the studio. We were just like, yeah, this is the one.
It's mad how it changed the song for us, because we'd written it just as we got off tour, and we were actually going to, there's one point we were thinking of scrapping it. But yeah, we just needed, because we didn't have the right voice for it. We didn't have the right singer to sing it. So that's...
It definitely lends an epic feel to it. His voice adds something that's not just emotional, but it does end up feeling very epic. I mean, the music feels that way as well. But I'm sure finding the right singer to also complement it that way was really difficult.
Yeah, he connected with it. You know, he's had his own struggles and stuff, so he really felt the lyrics, and it worked.
So how much do you guys have written when you go after someone to collaborate with?
It varies. I mean, with this one, we'd written the whole thing, and it was all pretty much there. And James came and kind of put his touch on it. But some songs, I mean, like Feel the Love, originally it was Kezi singing, you know, so like sometimes we write the hook and we bring in a singer to kind of flesh out the verses and put, because, you know, they need to have their heart in it, so they need to write some of it as well. Generally, we write the music and come out with an idea of the concept and what the vocals are going to do, and then we'll bring a singer in and sort of flesh it out with them.
It's different case by case, you know, song by song. Sometimes we get the singer in and we work out something in the studio and just vibe something, and that's an example of Bloodstream with Ed Sheeran. We was actually in the studio for the original session, and our version was actually original, even though our one came out a little bit later. So everyone thought our one was a remix. But yeah, so it's different every time, you know, there's no set way.
For the record.
And I think that's what keeps things fresh with us.
Do you find a lot of times when you get a singer in the studio that they end up sort of just what they bring in there makes you have completely new ideas and almost like rearrange the song completely?
Yeah, because the way we write is we jam. We keep on saying we're a band, and what that means is we don't start the songs on a computer. We all play instruments. So the way we write the songs, if there's a singer in the room, it can often take it in a completely different direction. You know, on the last album we had like Leanne La Havas was in the studio with us for a while. And she's credited on a couple of songs because she was there. She was playing guitar. We ended up jamming together. Do you know what I mean? It depends on who's in the studio. You can really just change the direction and change the mood of where we're going.
How do you think starting with instruments affects the way that you then approach the song when you start producing it with, you know, the electronics?
Yeah, I think it helps to have the song kind of traditional in a sense, with like, because we've got a Hammond organ in the studio, we've got keyboards, we've got a Rhodes, and it really helps us, like, kind of, as long as the core song idea is good, then putting on all the production can be done anywhere, and especially when you're touring, you know, you could be on a plane and you could be adding production, and it's just it's a good process for us because you know, once that core song is feels good, that's the most important thing, you know, and the lyrics and the melody, as long as that's all down and feeling good, then the rest kind of falls into place eventually when we kind of get round to it.
That's it. We've got so many songs in the vault which are just basically just keys, guitar, bass, you know, and a vocal.
Is that why you guys shot an acoustic video for this song as well, to kind of be like, you know, we play all, like, this is an instrumental song in a lot of ways.
That's how the song started, yeah, exactly. So it kind of gives you a feel of where the song came from.
What made you guys choose is Ibiza that you shot the acoustic video? Yeah, yeah. They're like, we're here too, guys. We're playing our mark in Ibiza.
No, yeah, we've been. Well, I mean, yeah. For us, it's like that place is. You know, we went there when we were young, raved there, clubbed out there, and we DJ a lot out there. So doing it there made a lot of sense, and you can get some beautiful sunsets and.
Yeah, I mean, the other side of Rudimental, other than the live side, is the DJ side. You know, we do DJ, like Piers and Lockie especially are the main DJs.
DJing in Brooklyn tonight, right?
Yeah, we're DJing in Brooklyn. Yeah, we kind of grew up in the underground scene as well in London. So the whole DJ culture, pirate radio culture, that's kind of a part of us, which is where you hear a lot of the D&B, house, garagey influences in our music across the albums.
I love that you guys still break into drum and bass on some of your earlier albums. Like you still have these drum and bass breaks that like a lot of artists don't do anymore. And it's like this a wonderful throwback to like, for me, it's like Atari Teenage Riot when I was in high school. It's like,
I mean,
wonderful that you do that.
It's all kind of came from funk, really, didn't it? It was a funk loop that people in London, in England, sped up and made, and D&B came out of the whole jungle thing, you know. So I think it's all a part of our culture and our history, growing up in London, England, and you know, it's always going to be in our veins, you know, that kind of the joy of raving, you know.
It's a wonderful call sign, you know. I think too, it's something that a lot of electronic musicians don't gravitate towards anymore. They've sort of forgotten that part of the history of it.
Yeah, you know, we've always done our own thing, and that was hard for us at the beginning, even on pirate radio. You know, can't really categorize what kind of music Rudimental is. So I think a lot of promoters found it difficult to book us because they didn't know, oh, should I put them in a drum and bass rave? Should I put them in like, we would drop like a Ben Howard remix that we made in between tunes, and it was just like, people didn't really get it. But I think that persistence and being really narrow-minded actually worked out in our favor in the end.
When you approach songs in the studio, do you find that all of you have very different sort of ideas about genre and what song could be and tastes? And sometimes you'd be like, well, I think this song should sound more funk, or this sound should sound more like this band that I loved growing up, or anything like that? We
all bring our influences to it. Like Piers said, we came from the kind of rave culture in the UK, which is like grime, garage, D&B. But you know, I myself, and I think all of us have a big hip-hop influence and a big soul and funk influence. George Clinton, Parliament Funkadelic, is someone who we've collaborated with a few times as well. He just like, appears on the record. A lot of people don't know that we've got like him and even like Donald Fagen. George Clinton, yeah, he's on the last album and on the new one. Donald Fagen from Steely Dan, he appears in there, you know. So it's like our influences come from that era mixed with the kind of rave era of the 90s and
Did you get
the 2000s.
Get the chance to be in the studio with George Clinton?
Yeah.
What was it like hanging out with George Clinton?
Unbelievable.
Absolute legend.
He's a cool guy, man.
Very cool guy. So many stories. You know, like the first time I saw him was when I was 15. Went to one of his gigs in London, and I got him to sign my CD. And when he came down to the studio, I bought the CD, and I was like, "Do you remember this?" Obviously, he didn't remember, but I was like, it literally was my dream. Coming from the kind of hip-hop influenced stuff, listening to Dre and all those kind of things.
Dre's, I mean, The Chronic is literally just a Parliament album, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. And finding out where he sampled that stuff. So, he's such a legend, man. And we might do some stuff on his records as well, you know. He's just such a cool guy. Whenever he's in London, we link up.
So what's going on with the new record? I mean, you guys have Sun Comes Up, which came out at the end of June, right? You're performing it on Fallon tomorrow night. When is the new record coming out?
Soon.
Yeah, I think it's going to come out early next year. Yeah. It's been nice because we've actually had some time in the studio for the first time in like 4 or 5 years. We've been sort of touring the world up until September last year. So since September, we've been back at home in London in our studio, and it's been nice to actually be in one place and sort of get stuck into the music and sort of focus on it as a whole, rather than being on the road somewhere and trying to sort of dip in and out of studios and getting sidetracked with live shows and different things coming in your way. So it's been good for us to be home and get some studio time.
I mean, that's the first time in 5 years we did that, right? I mean, the last album we had to make in between shows. We even got a studio tour bus to finish songs, you know.
Broke down in Arizona, didn't it?
Yeah, like, and we wrote a wicked. We did the song that we did with Bobby Womack in Arizona on that tour bus.
Right.
And yeah, but this is the first time that we've actually stopped touring for a minute to make a record, which is nice, you know, to be back at home and to feel grounded and kind of go back to what made the first album special, which is us just being together. And
but yeah, there's the massive evolution, of course, of like, I mean, that was 7 years ago now. So it's like this new record, I thought, was just, yeah, we're really excited. We're going to drop some new singles as well. And we also did a track with Chronics and Sub Focus, which came out the other month. So we're dropping little side looks as well, which kind of build the whole picture
I'm curious, it's a kind of a nerdy question because we could talk about Ed Sheeran and collaborating with him, but I'm kind of curious what the process is like in the studio, because you guys said you hadn't been in the studio together in 5 years. So, I mean, is it like you show up every day in the morning and each of you have like maybe some different things that you want to work out and figure out, or you just start jamming and then try to pull things out of that and then start constructing songs?
Yeah, literally, it normally just starts from a jam. So like, I'm normally on the keys, Kezzy's on keys as well, and Amir's the guitarist. Locksmith here, who's not here, he's normally on the beats and keys as well. So we normally we'll have like a Rhodes happening or a organ and just keep it kind of with the instruments. Like with Ed, we were in LA and he was on the guitar and we were just jamming. And then you develop melody ideas and then you home in on something, and kind of the laptop kind of becomes a part of it at some point with like drum sounds, or like loop ideas, but it generally starts from the music, and it always evolves, and we tour and travel so much, so like, a lot of it's like, we're all producers as well, so we'll grab the session in Logic or whatever, and we'll edit it together, or sometimes on our own, and throw ideas and chip away at it, kind of.
And that's what it's like at the home studio as well?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we've got our studio in East London. We've been there for years, and that's our base, Major Tom's. And we've recently turned it into a label as well. Little promo.
Signed Anne-Marie.
Signed Anne-Marie, who's doing very well. Anne-Marie, check out our records. Yeah, man, so we're based there. But yeah, like we said on the last album, we had to do a lot of it in hotel rooms and things like that. But now we're back.
Well, then take me back to collaborating with Ed Sheeran. How did that happen? And could you guys ever imagine that he would be the biggest star in the world?
Oh, mate.
It's the craziest thing.
He's grown so much. Like, he literally, I think he did like 3 Wembley stadiums back home, which is like, it's like 90,000 a night.
You had introduced me to Ed Sheeran 5 years ago and said, this guy's going to be the biggest star in the world. I'm like, get out of here.
He's that guy, isn't he? He's like, he's so talented, and his live show, I think, really inspired us. You bumped into him at a party about 6 years ago.
Yeah, the first time I met him was at a party, a mutual friend, and he was always rolling around with his guitar, and people kept on saying, you guys need to collaborate, exchange, like they forced us together. It's like, all right, mate, how you doing? And we started working on some stuff, and then years later, when he was doing his thing and he was starting to kick off and we were starting to kick off, it just naturally came back together. We're on the same label and everything, so it was just like, it's kind of meant to be.
We did a session in LA with him when we wrote Bloodstream with him, and the game he called the game, and the game turned up, and then Ellie Goulding turned up, and then at one point it was just like him, Ed, the game, Ellie Goulding, and we ended up doing about 6 tunes with the game as well, which is still kind of to be released. We haven't even.
Yeah. We're thinking of doing a little EP with them because there's Ed Sheeran, Rudimental, and the game.
Yeah, there's all sorts on the laptop.
That's what it is.
So that kind of relationship grew, and we went on tour with him. We toured around Australia, we toured around America with him, and it kind of grew from there. Yeah.
So what can people expect from the album when it comes out next year in terms of like changing your sound and evolving into your third album? I know that you had more time to work at home, but what were some of the big ideas that you guys wanted to tackle when you started working at home?
I think going back to our roots of developing unsigned talent, if you notice on the first and the second album, you've got like quite a few unknown artists that we've kind of been working with. Like the first album was like Ella Eyre and John Newman, MNEK, and the second album that we all heard, Anne-Marie. So like, I think we're going to follow suit in terms of like breaking new talent. We've got our eyes on the street, or ears to the street. Or whatever. We go out to open mic nights still, in London. We'll be around trying to meet people and work with people that inspire us. So it's about getting them inspiring.
When you guys show up at open mics, do things get tense for all the amateurs up there? Oh, shit.
We just hide at the back, just sip our drink.
The good thing about it is a lot of people know our music, but they don't know our faces. So we can just blend in.
It's cool. But yeah, this new album is...
When you're trying to get into a club, though, that's the only time when you have to Google yourself, be like, it really is me.
But yeah, the new record is really exciting on that side, and there'll be some collaborations like with James Arthur, as you can see. But I feel like there's a kind of definite summary kind of soul happiness to this new record that we want to bring back, because there's a lot of like crazy stuff happening in the world. So I think that inspires you and makes you draws you into
antithesis for all the negativity that's happening. That's what Rudimental. I think the core of Rudimental is that uplifting feeling. So we're definitely.
I think you have a quote where you say Rudimental is the music is positivity from a dark place, right?
Yeah. A lot of our songs have that theme. That's just naturally what happens when we get together. And it's more of that, definitely. It's a lot more streamlined. I think we've written some of the best songs we've ever written, actually, on this album. But yeah, man, for you guys to decide, really.
Let's get some questions from the audience. Who has a question?
Hi, thank you for being here. Did you know when you were younger that you always wanted to be in a band, or did you have another career path in mind?
I think it probably differs between us. I was pretty focused on it. I was pretty narrow-minded. I wanted to be an artist at first, like a painter, and then that didn't really work out. So yeah, music kind of just took over. Like we said, the pirate radio culture over there is quite a big thing, and garage music, grime music, that was all the rage, you know. So once I got into that, I knew this is what I'm gonna do forever, even if I'm broke.
Yeah, it sunk in. I think when you get moments like when I first bought my dad bought the first PC in the house, and then I got Reason and Cubase, and then I realised you could record vocals on a tune, and then you could like cut it to a vinyl acetate dub plate and play it on the radio. Like that whole process, realising that just gave me this love for it. And since I was about 13, I probably dreamt of being a producer, an artist. Well, I was like fixated on being a producer, I think, when I was very young.
What's interesting though is that, like all of us, like when we got together, all of us had done youth work before. We were all youth workers. We all worked with young people. Somehow we'd all ended up in that kind of job, you know, before Rudimental kicked off.
I think the band thing actually came by surprise. It was never intentional for us to be. We were sort of producer and DJ act originally, and then an opportunity came up for us to do a live show. And it was a thing called the BBC Weekender, which was like a massive festival to like 60,000 people. Jay-Z was headlining. And with about 2 weeks to go, they said, do we want to play? And we was like, yeah, cool, we'll do that. And then we was like, cool. And then they was like, oh, it's a live show. And we was like, live? And we was like, okay, let's get something together. So we just got in the studio, and the good thing about our music is a lot of it is very easy to translate live because it comes from a live.
You start playing with instruments,
yeah. So it was very easy to take it sort of to a live place. So we called a couple of friends that we've grown up with that play drums
15 friends
that sing and that play all the instruments, and we just put on a massive show, and it was our sort of first ever live show, and there was like 10,000 people turned up. Because we'd already had Feel the Love, which had gone to #1 in the UK.
Was it our second one? We did Isle of Wight before.
We did the show the night before.
Yeah.
And then we did the Hackney Weekender the next day, and it was like we got on stage and just saw 10,000 people, and we was like, whoa. And
literally just called up anyone we knew that played an instrument. Like that's the good thing about Rudimental live. For people that haven't seen us, there's like 12 people, sometimes 10 people on stage, and they're not sort of session musicians. They're people we went to school with, grew up with. And they're basically our friends that we called up at that point to try and help us put it together. So it's like a massive family, like a school trip without a teacher.
I'm curious, you mentioned your dad buying the PC and the first time you started playing with these programs. And obviously you guys have incredible knowledge of music, you're DJs as well as musicians. What is the first album you ever paid your own money for? And if it's not embarrassing, I'll be really surprised. It's embarrassing for everybody.
No, I think my one, like the first album I probably, was the Score by the Fugees. It's quite a good one, quite a cool one. I'm trying to think of any guilty pleasures. No, I mean, that was probably the first record I bought on tape.
On tape? Wow.
Yeah, I had it on tape. It was probably the best. I knew every single word. Like, used to listen to it every day. You know, that was a big thing.
I asked my mum to get the Score for me. I was like, it was like 14 quid or something. And little did she know the content of that album. I mean, it's an amazing album. There's a lot of profanities. But yeah, my first ever album was The Score as well. and my mum bought it.
I think we definitely all had the Spice Girls. Everyone's just trying to be
That's
cool.
just
Come on,
you,
that's what I'm
bro.
talking about. Mine was Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch when I was
Just say the
six.
score.
Spice Girls are sick. I'm proud of the Spice Girls. They're good. Good UK band.
All right, let's get another question right here.
Hi. So I thought the music video was really beautiful, and I really liked the way you did it. What was the inspiration behind that?
I think, you know, like there's one thing about dance can really sort of bring, you know, a great emotional side to painting a story, you know, and South Africa is a great place to shoot. So we went through lots of pictures with some directors and chose this one. I think really relied heavily on the dancers' performance, you know, and like I think what turned out is a great performance from the guy, and it, you know, in performing our videos, we've had that theme of dancing, like in Not Giving In, we had break dancing, and you know, it's kind of, it can be such a powerful thing. It was one of those things. The song comes up as well. We didn't want to just it to be too focused on that, you know, there being a sunrise, and you know, with the landscapes in South Africa where it was shot, it kind of really stood out to us as like a pitch to go for, really.
I think I have time for one more question right here.
Hey, what's up, guys? So you guys got to tour around Europe and the States. Is there like a particular place that you enjoyed performing at?
Oh, I mean, you know, we did a really, for me, one of them that stands out is Lollapalooza in Chicago. That was so much fun. And we did the DJ set after that. But I'm not just gassing you lot up because you're here, but New York is such a vibe. Love playing here. People really get us here. We do the
Terminal.
Terminal
here.
5.
Terminal 5.
That was a wicked
yeah, we
show,
done
yeah.
that. Had some amazing. Actually, yeah, but Ed Sheeran came out
Oh, yeah.
when we played it. Actually, we also did the one in Brooklyn.
Williamsburg. Is it Williamsburg?
Music Hall.
Musical, yeah, that was a
Done
good
that.
show.
Yeah, we've done, the Bower.
And yeah, some of the best shows out here, actually. I think, like, obviously London, you know, there have been some amazing shows. South Africa was a good one,
That was amazing.
you know.
Yeah.
The people there were amazing.
I think one of the most like interesting ones, actually, come to think of it now, is like when we did a little sort of mini tour of India, which was cool, yeah, because just pure ignorance, you know, not knowing how many fans we have out there and stuff, but it really kicked off. It was amazing. Did a show in Bombay and in Bangalore. Yeah, loved it. Wanna go back.
Well, guys, I'm looking forward to the performance tomorrow night on Fallon, the show tonight in Brooklyn. Sun Comes Up featuring James Arthur's on Spotify right now and iTunes. People can check it out. And the new album's going to be coming out. Oh, you have more singles that are dropping soon as well,
I
right?
think we're going to be dropping new singles, like, you know, another single this side of the year, and there'll be more singles in early next year, you know. So, especially with this day and age, you know, with streaming and that, I think it's about not holding on to your music for too long. And we're excited about letting it go, you know. We've been working on it for about a year and a bit now, so maybe a bit longer. So it's like, you know, when you've been putting all your blood, sweat and tears into something, and it's like, yeah, it's exciting. We're really looking forward to getting the music out there.
Awesome, I can't wait. Rudimental, guys. Give it up for Rudimental.
Thank you. Big love.